I was one of the early adopters of Final Fantasy 15. I went to see the Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15 movie, watched the anime miniseries on YouTube, and I even purchased the deluxe edition of Final Fantasy 15 to support the game as much as I could. As with any developer, Square Enix wanted to appease the fans by trying to evolve the game with additional content through DLCs. To some, this was welcome news, as many panned how tacked on the cutscenes were included from the movie put into the game through an update. Still, I was hopeful and continued on without much thought. Eventually, the first wave of DLCs were released. Final Fantasy 15 Episode Gladio, Episode Prompto, Episode Ignis, and the long-awaited online Camarades, which would allow the game to thrive outside of its single player. Around the same time, a new studio was being developed called Luminous Productions. This new studio would work on the continued DLCs and online component for Final Fantasy 15, which would still be under Hajime Tabata's watch. However, this would be the start of 15's downfall. Many fans of Final Fantasy 15 were concerned on what direction they would take in the game, and most like myself, who had paid $80 for the deluxe edition, were not expecting DLC to be added content of the story or online component for that matter. Sure, they did host blogs and ask for people's opinions on the game, but ultimately something was amiss. On top of that, a new release version of the game was announced called Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. This was to include all of the DLCs announced, as well as the full game, for $39.99 US. I recall looking on Twitter with many hugely displeased with this, and some outright not supporting these DLCs any longer. I knew for myself I wanted to see how the story would end. I forgot to mention, with all of this, I did buy one piece of DLC, which was Episode Gladio. Why did I not buy the rest? Well, with all things considered, I wanted to wait until it was finished, then I would purchase more. Earlier this year, another set of DLCs was announced by Square Enix staff called Final Fantasy 15 Dawn of the Future. This set of DLC would include Episode 1 Arden, Episode Side Story Aranea, Episode 2 Lunafreya, and Episode 3 Noctis. This would tie up the story-based content and finally put closure on all the cast at hand. But with the sudden cancellation of these DLCs, with the exception of Arden, this was a huge shock to everyone. Not only that, but Hajime Tabata, the man behind Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15 the movie, and Third Birthday, resigned from Square Enix and Luminous Productions in order to pursue other projects he wanted to make. It was such a huge shift of events compared to earlier this year, and yet some wonder what really happened. One speculation is over production time and costs. Square Enix was losing money over Final Fantasy 15, and due to these DLCs were costing them, and they wanted to cancel while they were ahead. Others even considered Hajime wanted to work on his own projects. Whatever the case may be, we will never know what really happened behind the scenes. The story of Final Fantasy 15 should have been complete, but judging by these turn of events, it may have been a huge blow to everyone. And maybe Tabata wanted this to be the turnaround the company asked for, but instead it turned out to be something different than they had hoped. I wish Tabata the best in his future endeavors. And what are your thoughts on these huge turn of events for 15 and for the future of Final Fantasy? Leave your comments below, and I will talk to you guys next time.